I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities.
What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Unibody Mark 7 backplate. This has been a long time coming, and there's a hair right here, freaking cats. But I finally was able to print the Steam Deck Mark 7 backplate all in one go, and it fits way better than everything I've created prior. It has a great seam. It by no means is perfect, but it has a great seam. You'll see a bunch of blemishes. It is what it is. It is a 3D printed backplate. It's not injection mold. It is not a resin printer. It is what it is, and this is as good as I can do as of now. Let's take a look at the seam. So we have this crazy bump out here, but for the most part we have a pretty nice seam. You can see some layer shift issues right there, but for the most part it is pretty good. This bump out here is more or less because of the fan and the heat sink. As you move around it, you'll notice that we have a pretty dang good seam here, but obviously it's still a seam. You can feel it. It's way better than the prior one. Way better. We had a huge gap in the prior one. Down here it's a little bit funky, but it is funky because of me. I, during installation, ruined this screw hole, and it actually will cinch up a little bit better, but I had to do some jerry rigging so that it would even close. So this seam right here may look pretty bad, but I promise when I reprint this, or if you are to print it on your own, as long as you don't ruin that, or if you purchase the backplate. But once I reprint this was a test print. As you saw in the beginning of the video, we had a lot of failed attempts, and this can easily be fixed. This was my fault during installation. So as you see down here, we have a pretty dang good seam until we get to where the micro SD is, and that's completely my fault. That wasn't the print's fault. I actually ruined this screw hole during installation, so on later prints they're gonna look a lot more like this. Closed seam, closed seam, closed seam, looking good. And today we are gonna test it. We already know this thing works. We already know it works. We're here in Cyberpunk, and what I want to do is I want to test this bad boy against the Steam Deck OLED in cooling performance. All settings are the same. Steam Deck 2080 by 800 resolution. So what we're gonna do is, this external fan is not on yet. We're gonna let the system heat up a little bit. I have the OLED over here heating up on its own, and believe it or not, it's hotter than the LCD current. Our current temperature is 21. And man, it is crazy, the screen difference. I wish they were in the exact same scene. This one's during the day, this one is at night. But I'm sure you can tell the quality difference in each one. The LCD is officially hotter than the OLED now, and the OLED has been running longer. Let's quickly talk about the Mark 7 backplate. So we got the vent mod, meaning we have a ventilation for the internal fans so they can breathe a lot easier. And we have a heat sink and a fan that are both 40 by 40 by 10 millimeters. Below that we have a thermal pad mod done on the heat shield. If you don't know what the thermal pad mod is, I'll put a link to the tutorial video for the thermal pad mod. And well, you'll notice we have this perforation down there, these air vents down here. And believe it or not, these air vents are not to allow air in, but allow air out. So the way this is designed, since we have this rear hatch opening, forces all the air that would be sucked in normally by the Steam Deck into this cavity right here, not down here. So what normally would happen is your SoC down here, your NVMe SSD, your IC chip, VRMs would naturally get cooled passively by air getting sucked in and out the top. And I'll demonstrate that here with the OLED. It come in through the normal vents and then out the top. normal vents out the top, and that would be the normal way to cool your SoC. Supply air to this fan. Now that we have this hole, you don't have that supply anymore, so this down here does get a little hotter. In my testing, I've noticed about a 10-degree increase across the board on this lower part of the SoC. In my opinion, it's still within safe margins, but do it at your own risk. Meaning, if you do the vent mod like I did, cutting a hole in the back of your Steam Deck, or you get the JSOX backplate, you need to make sure that you externally cool it, because for longevity it would be better. Not saying it's gonna break it, but technically the cooler it runs, the longer it'll run. The reason why we have this perforation, and then I mentioned that the air comes out, this fan actually blows air down into the SoC and exits down here, because the way the fin stacks are facing it, the pathway for the air is either up or down, but the channel here is blocked, so there's only one way it can go, it's just down. So when this fan kicks on, which we'll do in a second, you'll feel hot air come out through down here, and that's this fan pushing air through the fin stack out through here, which will passively cool the heatsink down here. And in fire mods, I've actually gone as far as to add heat sinks down here, so that air would cool down those heat sinks, and those heat sinks would cool down the SoC and the SSD fun stuff down there. So our current temperature right now is about 68, 69. Fan is not on yet. Our RPMs on our fan is 5400. So let's go ahead and let's kick this fan on. Fan is now on. One thing we will have to do is, as we do this, is we will have to prop this bad boy up. Currently we were at 68 in the CPU. Now we're at 66, exactly where the OLED is. Believe it or not, the OLED has been running a lot longer. They both fan plugins are currently not working. Doesn't work for the OLED, and whatever update just happened, Steam OS has ruined the fan update. All right, so already out of the gate, 62 on the LCD with the Mark 7 backplate, and we're at 67, pretty steady 67 here with the OLED Steam Deck. And speed's roughly the same. This one's 200 RPM faster. This one is a hell of a lot louder. It's considerably louder than the OLED. So let's take that in mind. This is loud. This isn't. So we're pretty stable here at 67, 68. The question is, how low will this one go? How low will it go? Pretty steady over here. 69 on the GPU, nice. 68, we're creeping to 68, 67 on this on the CPU. Let's just give it a little bit more time. We are slightly creeping up here on the LCD. Overall, we have a clear deficit of 6 to 7 ish degrees on the CPU, which is pretty good. And our CPU and GPU here are pretty identical. Down here, our GPU is clearly warmer than our CPU. These two are within a degree. And there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. So the LCD Steam Deck with the Mark 7 backplate is clearly cooler than the OLED. But to be quite frank, the OLED is pretty cool already. And the fact that there's no external fan and we don't have to plug anything else into it is a pretty cool thing to have. Also the screen sizes, look at the screen difference, it's crazy. But this is not a comparison to that. We already did that. Everyone else has done that. The main thing we want to talk about is cooling, and boy is this running pretty damn cool. So we turned it on right around that 68 degree mark. I wouldn't be surprised that if a stock Steam Deck would probably be in the mid 70s right now if we didn't have the Mark 7 backplate. And man, it is wild that it is running a hell of a lot cooler than the OLED with this 3D printed backplate. That is wild. And there you go. This is a huge, let me turn this fan off, testament to the Steam Deck Mark 7 backplate. This thing keeps your Steam Deck running pretty cool, and it can even keep up with the cooling performance of the Steam Deck OLED. Only caveat is you got to deal with this rough exterior. I think it looks cool though. But the main issue is you're tethered now. You can have a couple workarounds. I found this thing on Amazon, which is a USB-C to splitter. It goes to USB 3.1 here, USB 2.0. One thing about this is look how badly this thing flexed already, but mainly this USB 2.0 doesn't do any data. It's power only, but works great. It worked great for me for like a few months. I would just go ahead and plug that in like that, and then bada bing, bada boom. They have a lot of these on Amazon, so there's workarounds around it, so you can be portable. So that's a real big crux in this. But if cooling is your issue, you don't get any better than the Mark 7 backplate. Yeah, guys, so I'm super duper happy about this unibody design. I'm finally happy. And believe it or not, it costs less filament to print it like this because there's less waste. Even though there was a huge amount of waste, it's still a lot less. And what I want to do is for anyone, and I'm actually going to message them personally, anyone that has purchased the Mark 7 backplate and got it on the split design, I want to mail you the unibody version at no additional cost except for shipping. So meaning I'm basically going to send you a free backplate if you're willing to pay for shipping, because I feel like this is the best version of it. And if I could have sent this version out at the time of your purchase, I would have sent this one out. But now that I have worked out the kinks on it and I can send them out, I really want to go ahead and do that. So if you don't see this video, I'll be reaching out to you. And if you're willing to pay price of shipping, I will send this version straight to you. Just the backplate. Doesn't come with the fan or the heatsink or thermal paste or the thermal pan. So it all comes with all that stuff, and it actually does come with a dock as well if you purchase it at DIYpoppy.net. But we also have the STL files at DIYpoppy.net. So if you want to print your own, go ahead and visit us there. It's $4.99 for the print copy, and then you can print it as many times as you want. I would just advise not to resell it because that would be not cool, but it is available to you if you so do want to print one for yourself, because you can see how much better this cooling apparatus is versus a stock Steam Deck, and it even beats out the latest refresh version of the Steam Deck, which is actually really cool running Steam Deck. But there are some caveats and there are some trade-offs, like the bulk, the rough texture, the not perfect seam, and but other than that, like if you're okay with all that, man, this is one hell of a cooling backplate. I am so happy about this. Quick update on the Mark 8 backplate. We do have the unibody version, but I am not going to release this version. I am not doing it because this latch thing has been an issue for me. But now that I know I can print them in unibody, I think it can print out all-in-one hinging mechanism. So stay tuned for that. This is going to get redone, and we're actually going to lose about almost 10 millimeters off this. So this is going to be sleeker all the way around. This thing's going to go for a full redesign. So the Mark 8 is going to look nothing like the Mark 7. Well, I wouldn't say nothing. It's going to look similar, but it's going to have the hatch and everything. So stay tuned for that. That one's getting rebuilt as we speak. And because of the unibody chassis, it makes printing so much easier. But each one of these prints do take 6 hours. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.